Hello, all you football fans out there, and welcome to this football edition of the Hot Seat Sports Talk. And today, we are so fortunate enough to have back Mr. Darien Harris. Welcome back, so it's nice to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. It's been a while since we saw you. Saw you in February right before the Super Bowl. So it's been a while. Lots happened in sports. So start off, we're gonna have a couple questions for you before we dive right into college football.
So Darien, you are currently working for the B1G Network. Can you tell us what that has been like for you?
Yeah, it's been great. For the last 2 years, I've been doing the spring game, color commentating for the spring game, and going into this year, I knew I wanted to do a little bit more with B1G Network. And once I left Ottawa, I was able to contact with them, and they were able to get me onto the BTN Live show every Friday. So it's been a phenomenal experience. Working with Ryan Baker, our moderator on the show, he's phenomenal at what he does. And then being able to work with Chuck Long, being able to go back and forth and dissect his brain. He's made Oklahoma win a national championship under Bob Stoops. So he's done it all. So to be able to work with people like that has been pretty special. B1G Network is, they're at the forefront of conference networks, I believe. They were the first to do it. They're the best to do it. So definitely looking forward to a fun championship weekend. They're sending me to Indianapolis to be there for the Big Ten championship game. So I just kind of get to soak everything in, be a part of Fan Fest. It doesn't hurt to get a free trip to Indy and stay at a Marriott. So I'm definitely not going to turn that down.
Nice, that's a nice, yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a nice trip. You're also involved with MoneyBall SportsWear. Can you tell us how you got involved and what it is you do for the company?
Yeah, so Desmond Ferguson, who's the owner and founder of MoneyBall, has he did our Press Pass show on Fox 47, a local Lansing sports show that Jack Ebling hosts. So he was on there a couple times, and I was on there with him, and that's how I met Des. And he started this kind of brand ambassadorship where he grabbed a lot of current athletes and former athletes and basically gave them an endorsement deal with Moneyball. So myself and Victoria Jankowska, who's the all-time leading scorer for the women's basketball team in Michigan State, we're kind of the two athletes from Michigan State, the first two that have been a part of this brand ambassadorship. Then there's a bunch of athletes, around the mid-Michigan area as well that are a part of it. So as we know, Moneyball is kind of going everywhere. It's growing. They sponsor a lot of different sports teams, high school teams. So it's fun to see a Lansing-based business grow like that.
Yeah, because the other night at the men's basketball game for Frazier, we had my nose, we have the Moneyball logo now.
Yep.
And I think that's
They look very nice too.
Yeah, the jerseys and uniforms look very nice, and so that's great with what you're doing. It's a growing business.
Absolutely.
Hope it keeps going.
All right, my question is, why did you leave the CFL and to pursue your degree at Michigan State? And are you also done playing football?
Yeah, great question. So it's been 2 years in a row that I've actually had the same injury, at a pulled muscle, and it's kind of been that divine intervention type thing where it's been the same injury on the same day in camp in the same drill. So. For me, that was kind of enough to say, okay, you're supposed to be doing something else. You're supposed to be working on something else. And, Michigan State was gracious enough to give me the opportunity in our academic department there and work with the great athletes we have at Michigan State. So currently, I work with 6 of our freshman football players that I see once a week. And just getting that experience, growing my endeavors in other aspects other than on the field has been fantastic. And to be able to actually do a fall semester has been great. I'm finishing up next week with a fall semester. And I'll be done with in May with my degree and moving on to what's next. So in terms of am I still playing football, I never say I'm not. I'm always staying in shape, always ready to go. But, I'm definitely comfortable with the fact that there's a lot of other things out there that I want to do. And I've had a phenomenal time doing it, whether it's, doing school, whether it's working at MSU, whether it's working for BTN. So to be able to transition in those things has been great.
All right.
Yeah, you get the best of both worlds.
Yep.
Yeah.
So. Last time you were here on the show in February, I asked you how we can improve our show, and the show has gotten bigger, and we had more guests on after you came in February. Now I'm asking you how all of us can reach out to other athletes to get them on this show before we graduate, and this show will come to a conclusion in May.
Yeah, so for you all going into your last semester of high school, obviously you all know it goes by quick. So to make the most of it, to make the best of it with this show, I would just, reach out to as many athletes as possible through social media, send them the clips of when other athletes have been on and things of that nature so they know it's legit, it's for real. Guys and gals have shown up for it. then just build a whole event around it. Ask them what they would be willing to do, whether it's, talking to a class, talking to sports teams, sponsoring something for the high school or something that nature, and then just catch them in the off season when they have time. I think that's what's most important, and kind of try to work around their schedule. But I think the main thing, is just, like I said, reaching out to as many as possible, which is what you have to do in this business anyway, no matter if it's this show or you're doing a nationally syndicated show. It's just about reaching out, and the worst thing somebody could say is no. It's not the end of the world if somebody says no. You just move on to the next person and go from there.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice.
Yeah,
thank you.
Appreciate it. College football, week 13. Now we're getting ready to go into championship season. Just to quickly recap the scores from last week. Alabama, of course, rolled Auburn in the Iron Bowl 52-21. Clemson beat South Carolina 56-35. Notre Dame, kind of a dogfight with Southern California.
Big rivalry too for them.
Yeah, they beat them 24-17. And Ohio State 62, Michigan 39. Now, with you being a former Spartan, how do you look at this? Like, is there someone you root for? Is there somebody hopes do somewhat worse than the other team, or?
Oh yeah, you always root against Michigan, and then they the pegs go from there. So, be rooting for Northwestern this weekend, even though I'm not sure they have much of a chance. But no, you always root against Michigan, and then after that, then you start rooting against Ohio State, and it kind of goes down from there.
All goes in a cycle.
Exactly.
What do you think? What do you think went wrong for Jim Harbaugh in that last game? And do you think Urban Meyer's a top 3 head coach?
Yeah. I think for Harbaugh, I think it's just a mental game for him and his team now. They didn't look prepared to play, which was shocking to me. I didn't necessarily pick them to win that game, but I thought if it was a year that they were going to win, and especially winning in Columbus, it had to be this year. Now they don't get an opportunity to do it until 2020. It'll have been 20 years since they won in Columbus, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And Ohio State's won 14 out of the last 15, so I'm not sure you can really even call it a rivalry. At this point, like I said, it's a mental thing, and honestly, it's kind of what I think propelled Michigan over Michigan State this year. Was they got over that mental hump, they got past that roadblock in their head, and going into the fourth quarter, they had a little more confidence. Now, Michigan State gets a touchdown. That game might be a little bit different in terms of the mental block, because Michigan might have been saying, "Here we go again," and I think that's exactly what happened in this game. It was just a "here we go again" situation. A game got out of hand. Could have easily been, 76-30. You don't fumble the kickoff. You score twice in the red zone. So, I just, like I said, I think it's a mental thing they got to get past. And then in terms of Urban Meyer, top 3 head coach, unfortunately, I think you got to say that. The numbers speak for itself. 80-9, I think, or something astronomical like that at Ohio State. It hasn't lost too many Big Ten games, obviously. I think you got to go, Saban, Dabo Swinney, and Urban Meyer is probably the top 3 right now.
Oh yeah, it'll be interesting to see on how Michigan will come back in their bowl game, depending on what they get when they play. If it's a New Year's 6, they'll add more fuel to their fire because they're playing in prime time, of course. A couple more scores. Oklahoma in a shootout beat West Virginia 59-56, in a record-tying overtime game. LSU goes down to Texas A&M 74-72. I watched that game. That game did not get over until about 1:45 in the morning. It was probably one of the most entertaining games I've seen in college in a long time. Professionally, it was the Rams and Chiefs this year, most entertaining. This game was probably the most entertaining game, college football-wise, I've seen. And Michigan State gets by Rutgers 14-10, 7-5. What bowl game do you think we're going to get, or Michigan State's going to get, and what do you think they have to do to get better next year?
In terms of bowl games, it's it could be any of 6 different possibilities. Got to let the championship weekend play out, and then in terms of next year, it's just it's the luck of the draw sometimes. Injuries. It got to the point this year where you can actually bring up injuries as a viable quote-unquote excuse for how the season went. And then, you focus on what you didn't do right this season, and then you go to work in the offseason. That's just what it comes down to at the end of the day. As much as we want everything to go right all the time, it's very difficult to win in college football. every season is not going to be a Big Ten championship season. Every season is not going to be a playoff season. There's obviously a chance next year for that to happen. There's a chance this year for it to happen if maybe some guys stayed a little bit more healthy. So it's a little bit more fuel to the fire for next year.
Yeah, I mean, with them beating Penn State, last seconds, and then losing Felton Davis hurt, having L.J. Scott go back and forth, having the whole quarterback situation, that didn't help either. Losing Hartbarger didn't help either. Having so many different punters come in, it was just a roller coaster type of year for State, and hoping they get a pretty good bowl game and they could come out pretty good. With that, championship week is this week. We're starting off with the Pac-12. Number 17 Utah's playing number 11 Washington for the Pac-12. Brian, we'll start with you.
I mean, Washington has been looking pretty impressive this season. I've sometimes seen a little bit up and down, but I mean, I can see them winning the Pac-12. I think Washington has this.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they beat Washington State after we say, oh, look at Washington State's on the uprise, and then they go down in the
They're basically the upsetter of the Pac-12,
yeah.
basically.
Oh, yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm the same for me. I'm going to go with Washington in this game.
I mean, Utah can be streaky, Washington can be streaky. It's just, just a matter of who can come out better defensively, come out better offensively. It'll be interesting. Darren, what do you think about this one?
I'll take the upset here. I'll go with Utah.
Okay.
Utah's always has a pretty good defense, and I think they're going to be excited to be back in the Pac-12 championship. And there's no playoff implications on the line for this game. So
yeah, it's just
it's playing for the trophy. So I think there's nothing to lose on both sides. I think Washington looked good this year. Big game, obviously, big win over Washington State. But I'll take the upset in this one.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
Yeah, I like Washington in this one. I think they'll keep the momentum going when they beat Washington State, and they'll just keep rolling into the Pac-12 championship. Big 12, number 14 Texas is going up against number 5 Oklahoma. This one has playoff implications because if Alabama beats Georgia, Oklahoma wins, it could have some major implication on who gets in that 4th spot. So I like Oklahoma. I like their offense. They don't have a great defense
That's where their offense comes in.
Yeah, as shown against West Virginia and Texas and all those other teams that they played in the Big 12 competition this year. So it'll be interesting to see how Texas comes out and plays them with their offense, with their defense. Their defense has been okay to this point.
They can definitely put in a fight because I think they had the possibility of putting in a good fight against Oklahoma. But I mean, no matter what, their quarterbacks can always be good. We saw Baker Mayfield always light them up. Now Kyler Murray's looking pretty amazing, and he's not even interested in playing football. He wants to play baseball. That's just how great of an athlete this guy is. So
yeah.
I think Oklahoma has this.
I'm gonna go with Texas on this one.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I'm always the underdog.
Yeah, it's
I pick them all, and I just think Texas. I feel like Oklahoma is just not gonna play.
You don't think
just like West Virginia against that game? You don't think it'll be that high-powered?
No.
Yeah.
I think any team can do that. Drew Brees can go off one week and then
Any
can only
team.
Very true.
get 10 points the next.
I mean, look at Michigan could do that any given day. Ohio State could. I mean, any
team can win any game on any given day.
Yeah. So
That's deep.
yeah. So who do you like in the Big 12?
I think I like Oklahoma here. I think for at least right now, they're feeling like they have a shot at the playoffs. Kyler Murray, he's 1-2 right now with Tua, who's going to win the Heisman. So I think they just have a little bit too much firepower for Texas. But I'm expecting a good game at least.
Yeah. So I like Oklahoma as well, just like what I said before. The Big Ten championship, as you said, you're heading down there this week. Northwestern, which won the West, and they're playing Ohio State, will beat Michigan to get into that game. Is sitting at number 6 now. This is again more playoff implications because they had to have a couple things go their way to get in. But with the steamrolling that they put on to Michigan last week, it's just going to continue against Northwestern. They're going to win this game easily. They shouldn't have that many of problems, but I think they'll win this game and have a shot at the 4th spot.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Whoa.
No, I think Northwestern's going to win. I don't like Ohio State.
Just by the way that they, probably like you saw, that they competed against Michigan, the way they competed against Michigan, and the way that they, competed against State too this year.
Yeah,
That also has to be a factor too.
Yeah, I'm a Michigan fan. I obviously don't like State, Ohio State, or kind of Michigan State. I even went to the Michigan State game and I was rooting for the Rutgers.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's probably not the good
Yeah.
thing to say.
Wow.
It's hey, it's okay. They still honestly that game was, well, it was kind of fun, but I have Northwestern. I have Northwestern beating Ohio State. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Northwestern is going to
Edge them out.
edge them out with like probably field goals.
Sticking true to your Michigan roots, I like it.
Yeah.
So obviously you said you like Ohio State in this one.
Yeah, I do. Yep.
And probably the most intriguing college championship game, conference championship, Alabama and Georgia for the Southeastern Conference.
Rematch from the title game last year.
Yes.
That will be.
And here's my thing. I've been saying this all year on the show. There's nobody that, in my opinion, that could beat Alabama. Tua's been playing unbelievable. The points that they're putting up every single week are phenomenal. You know, except that one game against the Citadel, they only had 10 at the half, and then they scored 40 in the second
There
half.
you go. That would make
So,
it. Yeah.
so I really don't think Georgia's going to put up some points because they're playing in a dome. I mean, both teams are good indoors, but I mean there's no way that Georgia's going to beat Alabama, and this will knock them out of the playoff for Georgia.
The only way that I feel Georgia can win this is if Jake Fromm, their quarterback, goes off. Because we've seen that last year. It was pretty much a crazy game for him. This game is all about the quarterbacks, Tua and Jake Fromm. I think whoever has the better game with their team backing them up defensively, I think,
Right.
is going to win the game. And like you said, really, so far we've seen nobody can stop Alabama. So you have to pick Alabama in this.
Right.
Unless you're the upsetter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So
I've been. You did say that no one can really beat Alabama, and no one can beat. There's how many teams that are undefeated right now? 3.
it's about 3.
Three?
I think still is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know. This is a toss-up game. I could see Alabama winning. I can see Georgia winning, but
Wow.
I'm gonna pick Alabama. I'm gonna pick
nice.
Alabama
Because
because
flip of the coin, it's Alabama.
because I know I'm gonna say Georgia and they're gonna get whooped probably because it is Alabama, but I think Alabama's probably gonna win.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Championship weekend this weekend, and then moving up a level, National Football League for Week 13. Probably the key games this week. Indianapolis, who's fighting to stay in the playoff race, is at Jacksonville. Indianapolis is -4 for this week.
Jacksonville's a freaking mess. It is. Oh gosh.
Yeah,
And
they're-
Indianapolis has been rising.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck's
yeah.
becoming the same person.
Andrew Luck has thrown 3 touchdowns a game consecutively. I think it's for either 5 or 6 games in a
That's
row.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's been unbelievable. Eric Ebron, of course,
He's
has
going off.
to do damage in Indy. Don't know why he couldn't do damage here in Detroit, of course.
In this season alone, Ebron has 12 touchdown receptions.
Yes.
He didn't have 12 his whole career with the Lions.
Oh,
That is.
Wow, I didn't.
I found that out today, and that just blew my mind.
that
That's just.
figures.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
But as dominant as now, because the Colts are starting to turn around, because they started off the year like, okay, here's the Colts.
Not
you
looking
know.
good from Andrew Luck's injury, but now.
Now
they are
they're
looking
looking really good.
Okay.
I really like Andrew Luck this week.
I do too.
In Jacksonville, I'm going with Indy. I like it.
All right. So
So
this is where I get a little biased, okay?
Oh boy.
Because Indy should have lost last week.
Yeah.
They should have lost
Who?
to the Dolphins.
The
Yeah.
Dolphins.
To the Dolphins, they should have lost. They had a 10-point lead and blew it and it was just a mess.
Well, they gave Andrew Luck the ball, and then that's what happened.
But there was also 3 consecutive turnovers.
yeah.
I'm picking as an underdog. Like I'm picking Jacksonville as an
Your
underdog.
upset?
Is
Yeah,
your
my
upset for the
upset.
week? I
My
like it.
upset
Alright.
is Jacksonville.
I like it. Okay. Who do you like for this week, Darien?
Going with the Colts. Leonard Fournette being out.
That's huge
Surprised
too.
that.
Yeah, that's big too.
That's
and,
big.
And you
Yeah.
got to think about Kessler starting too.
Yeah.
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 Everything's pointing away to Jacksonville, basically.
Yeah. Baltimore is at Atlanta. Not too big of a spread. It's almost a pick, but Atlanta is -1, so Baltimore gets a point. I just like Atlanta in the Dome. They're always involved in high-scoring shootout games every time they're in the Dome. Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, he looks great. in his first 2 games, first 3 games
So
coming
far
out.
he's undefeated.
Coming out.
Yeah.
He's got great, but they're more of a running offense now. When they have
Yeah,
Flacco, it's more of a passing offense. With Jackson being as mobile as he is, you know, trying to get the running backs more involved, trying to have a West Coast offense. So, but I don't think it's going to be enough to stop Matty Ice, Julio, and Calvin Ridley. So I'm going with Atlanta this week.
Yeah, as long as Julio's been getting more touchdowns this season, which he finally is,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, they should be able to beat Baltimore, I think.
I'm taking Atlanta on this one.
Atlanta?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, Atlanta.
Atlanta as well. All right, so we have Cleveland going to Houston after Monday night's explosion on offense for Houston with Lamar Miller going 97 yards to the house, which saved my fantasy football season. And Cleveland comes in. They're getting 6. Cleveland winning back-to-back.
That's huge for them.
Back-to-back
Yes.
games, but can they really compete against this kind of a team?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they honestly could. Their run game is unstoppable.
They have a running back.
So-
They got a good
Mitchell
running
and,
back now.
They have a good running core. They have
Chuck
Baker
Johnson,
Mayfield,
yeah.
who can run the ball
Yeah,
as well.
They have
Baker
the receivers, the
Mayfield.
tight ends.
Yeah.
pretty much,
I think
but-
getting rid of their coach,
Hugh Jackson.
Jackson, and didn't they get rid of somebody else?
I think an offensive coordinator. They got rid
Offensive
of, yeah.
coordinator.
Offensive
whatever,
coordinator.
whatever
Jo-
they did, it's working.
I mean, you have to think about Josh Gordon leaving too in the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
That's
That
also
could have been something.
Yeah.
a big thing that might have changed things around. But Houston's won 8, 9 straight. It's been.
I think they're just so complete now.
Yeah.
They have the
Yeah.
offense and the defense. I don't know about
I
special
think
teams,
that
but
I think that
they're pretty
Demaryius Thomas move put them over the edge.
That was very huge. I think they gave him more of a confidence booster in them. I think.
Yep. So it spreads the wealth.
I got Houston.
Yeah, I got Houston.
I got Cleveland on this one.
Ooh, another upset.
Yeah, I like Cleveland in this one.
So who do you like?
I
Gordon?
got Houston here.
You got
I think
Houston
they're
to keep the streak
train
going?
rolling. Yep.
It's gonna keep going. They in my opinion, they rise.
Yeah.
They rise in the playoff contention, especially in the AFC. So
Oh, definitely.
you'll see how they do. Denver's going to Cincinnati. Both teams have playoff implications. Cincinnati's starting a new quarterback. Denver starting to find their groove after beating the Chargers and beating the Steelers. So you start with you. Who do you like?
I think you guys stick with Denver here. I just think the quarterback switch for Cincinnati is going to be tough to deal with, and like I said, playoff implications. It's down to crunch time now, so Denver can't drop games like this that are very winnable.
Yeah. So who do you like?
I like Denver in this one, especially because of that win over the Steelers.
That was huge for them.
That was a huge, and if they can get this, if they can beat the Steelers, they can beat the Bengals.
Bengals.
Yeah.
I think Denver as well because I think Philip Lindsay's going to have a great game because Cincinnati's defense hasn't been too hot this year against the running backs. So I got Denver on this.
Yeah, I like Denver as well. So, and this is the biggest spread on our sheet. The Los Angeles Rams coming off the bye come to Detroit.
That's interesting.
This is not a great situation for the Lions with the injuries. Just
Trading and then having another major injury for us. So.
Yeah.
and they're playing the hottest team I say in football.
No,
right
I
now.
can agree. They definitely are.
And this is this is my lock this year.
I'm
This year,
sorry,
this week.
but I have to agree with you. You're just. I mean, Detroit beat the Patriots when they were hot, so who knows? But
And they beat
I
Green
think
Bay
they're
when they
gonna-
weren't supposed to. Well,
Yeah.
let's see. But I still think the greatest show on surf will win this game.
I'm gonna say what Matt Patricia said. Stats don't matter. You always gotta stick with your home team, Detroit. I'm picking it as my lock.
Wow.
How about them apples?
Wow.
I
Okay.
have them
I
as
like
my
it.
lock.
I can probably imagine you have Los Angeles as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, I think
Come
that's a
on.
no-brainer here.
It's a no-brainer. But so probably in America's game of the week, Minnesota is going to New England.
This will be a great game.
Mm-hmm.
So Cousins is trying to find his way. He's trying to trying to find his way. He's starting to click with Minnesota, but it's not. I don't think it's all the way there yet. So going to New England, it's tough to win at Foxborough,
It is very.
but I think Minnesota will get this
Yeah,
done.
Minnesota has
Wow.
this.
Adam Thielen's going to have a great game. He's going to have at least 100 plus receiving yards, maybe chalk up 120, 20
video.
plus.
That's right on video.
Hundred-
Zoom
maybe
into his
120
face.
plus.
It's right there.
So I like Minnesota as my upset this week.
Wow.
So I like that one.
I may be a Dolphins fan, but I'm not stupid. You gotta pick New England for this one. Come on, New England at home, unstoppable.
Wow.
It's hard. It's hard to beat New England at home. It's very tough. That's why I'm picking them. I got them as my win for.
As your lock for the week.
No, I already picked Detroit as my lock.
Oh yeah.
And upset
Can't
as
forget about that.
Jackson.
Yeah.
But I like New England in
I
this
think
one.
with Gronk playing, you have to pick New England on this
Yeah.
too.
Right.
That's just
Gronk's
always
just
that.
the
You just
animal.
have to end it there. I mean, Gronk's a beast.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm going Minnesota here.
Yeah.
I like how their defense has been playing. Like I said, that Kirk's trying to get it rolling now. So got a big win last week, and it'll be a good game. It's not always smart to pick against New England, especially when they're at home. But I'll go with the Vikings here.
Yeah.
All right.
For Sunday Night Football, this is first game on back-to-back when they're doing LA games. The Chargers are going to going to the Steelers, going to Heinz Field.
Should be a great game.
Yeah, it should
Yeah,
be a
this
very
is-
good game.
Yeah, this is going to be great. It's going to not be as great for the Chargers with Melvin Gordon being out. That's not going to be as great. It's not going to be great for Pittsburgh because LA's got a great run defense.
That's coming off that surprising loss that they did.
And the fact that they didn't give James Conner the ball as much as
Yeah,
they
it's
did
just-
in Denver.
I wonder where that
Kind
comes
of,
from.
yeah, kind of concerns me a little bit. But I like the Chargers on the road, especially the way that they fell to Pittsburgh. Chargers, the way that they beat Arizona by 35 last week. Pittsburgh losing by 7 to Denver on the road. So this is going to be a great one for the Chargers to cement their case. So.
Well, I mean, just
It's
Pittsburgh
Rivers.
is
It's
just
Rivers.
awesome. Look, I mean, Pittsburgh has. I think when it comes to more offensive talent, you have to pick Pittsburgh on this, and I think both defenses can kind of be shaky. We can see the Chargers probably rise more than the Steelers, but I think offense is going to prevail in this more than defense. So I think Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah.
I'd have to agree with Aaron. I'm going with the Chargers on this one. They've just been looking really hot lately, and I think they can get an easy win over Steelers. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a high-scoring game, I think.
That's why
I
it's
think
prime time.
I think the Chargers are going to take this win.
You like the Bulls?
I'm sticking with Pittsburgh here.
Oh,
I think
okay.
if Melvin Gordon was playing to be a little different, but
That's huge too.
yeah, I think him being out, it's going to
It
hurt
hurts
the
them.
Chargers.
It hurts them. Oh yeah, but especially with Juju having that 97-yard touchdown. That was
Second one, I think.
that was a
Second
great-
97 plus.
he did the last time he did. He was in Detroit.
Of course.
So yeah, Pittsburgh has a great offense. LA's got the great offense. So we'll see how that works out. Last game, Monday Night Football. Washington is going to Philadelphia. Both teams are trying to find their way. It's Golden Tate. I read the other. It's not working out. He's trying his best to get into the system, but him getting swapped mid-season, having a great system in Detroit, he knew going to Philly. I hope that we can get him back.
I don't think that we're gonna get him back. I think we're not. He wanted too much for us to pay. It's not gonna happen.
Well, you have to think of so many different guys that are going to be leaving. Like Ezekiel Ansah's probably going to be out the door. So many different guys are going to be leaving. And a question I wanted to ask you: do you think, because there's been talk about Stafford in the news, do you think Stafford is still Detroit's man?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to find a franchise quarterback, so I think you got to kind of stick with Stafford for a little bit more years and kind of see where it goes. But yeah, I don't think Golden Tate's coming back. It's very rare that a player leaves mid-season and comes back.
It would be a genius move to trade him, get a third-round pick, and then get him back in the offseason. That'd be a great move.
He's going to want that money, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot's going to happen if that's even a conversation starter, really.
But in the sake of this game, Washington, they had a lot of time to prepare because they played Dallas on Thanksgiving. With Colt McCoy, I don't think it's there yet. Philly came off a pretty good win last week, just squeaking it out at the end over the Giants. But I think Philly's going to take this one on Monday night. I like it. So you like?
Yep, I like Philly.
You like Philly?
Mm-hmm.
Both of you guys.
Feeling
This
are
is
the
kind of
same,
my
you're
upset.
feeling-
I don't
yeah.
know. I'm just Philadelphia's been having such an off year. Just Super Bowl, what's it called?
Super Bowl letdown.
Hangover.
Yeah,
Hangover,
Super Bowl
yeah,
hangover.
hangovers,
Basically,
yeah.
I think that's just happening with him. I don't know. I feel like this could just be a huge upset when it comes to division
Yeah.
rankings for them for playoff implications. I think Washington's going to upset this.
Yeah.
I think Washington also is going to do that.
Yeah, it'll depend. It's gonna be a good
It's
week.
going to be a good. These
are all
prime
good
time
games. These
games.
are all great
It's
games.
coming down to the it's
nitty gritty.
nitty gritty.
Playoff push.
Yeah. Playoff push.
But sitting here right now, who do you think is who's your Super Bowl pick?
Oh, wow.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Putting the pressure. Wow.
I'm stick with my pick coming into the season, so that's Rams Chiefs. So Rams Chiefs.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Probably kind of get a second dosage of what we saw a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago on
I
Monday
sure
night.
hope so. That was amazing.
That
was
would be-
actually a really good game.
Just seeing
Sucks
those.
for defensive coordinators and defensive
Yeah.
That's an offensive coordinator's dream.
Oh yeah.
It really is.
But with you being an offensive guy, being in those type of games like we saw with the Rams and Chiefs on Monday, that's probably got to be a coordinator's nightmare and your teammates' nightmare too.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just nothing you can do at the end of the day. It's just kind of how it goes.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see. Well, that's all we got. Make sure follow our channel and follow the show on Instagram as well. Darien, thank you of course for coming in today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We hope to get you back in the winter before we graduate. That'd be awesome to get you back for like basketball and free agency, NFL draft stuff, and hear more about your time at Big Ten.
Be great.
So, and of course, apologies, Lions punter Sam Mark. We're running out of time for you. So, until next week, as always, keep it fresh. Excellent show, guys. Excellent show, guys.
Came back from
I
a
don't
no
think we've ever had an
audio.
audio issue like that before.
Yeah.
That's-
But no, that body armor's for you.
Oh, appreciate it.
Um,
Who do you think is going to win, Alabama or Georgia for this playoff?
Yeah, we didn't
Or
ask you
whatever,
on that
championship
one.
game?
Who's gonna win?
Yeah.
Oh, I think Alabama.
Alabama? Okay. I'm not-
probably get a picture in a second.
Do we have to take this out?
It's going to be
Yeah, can you
Saints
take
and
that out? Thank you,
Steelers.
Mr. Flanagan.
How the heck do you take a picture of the front?
There's,
Wait, so
there's
you
these
called
little
the
flaps.
Chiefs and Rams were
Will you
beaten
move the
before
flaps?
the season?
Yeah, that's